Next one.
Yep.
All right, we live. Well, since it won't be recorded, we just kind of go with the flow. People will just trickle in.
And maybe we can download it off of YouTube,
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Hold up.
record it on live.
Oh, my bad. Hold on. Let me not hear myself talk. Oh, we got some people on. What's going on, fam? Cool.
All right, cool.
We'll figure it out. All this
All
technical difficulties.
part of having it for the first. Oh,
Yeah. Well, good thing this isn't being recorded then.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, cool. Um, cool. Well, I guess we can just get started and people will just trickle in as they go. Welcome, everybody, to the Get the Bag podcast. Your host, Gladia, my co host, Tim. Um,
So,
what's up? What's up? Um, so, we just started a podcast, right? Get the Bag. Um, we'll be kind of going through some tips, kind of the structure of the podcast will mainly be some tips and some recommendations. We'll have different themes every week. This will be a weekly podcast. Maybe once a month we'll bring on a guest, but it's really just kind of sharing value and helping people start businesses, be successful. Um, and maybe we can dig a little bit deeper into why we created the podcast. But since we have some people trickling in, Tim, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
yeah, I'm so happy about this, where we're at right now, and
Yeah.
how we came together. And it's a situation where we've this was part of my goal is to actually start a podcast. So I think it's a situation where everything's coming to fruition, and just where we all started, and just where we're at today. I'm just so excited to have um, you know, this podcast and doing it with you, G. Um,
Yeah.
we've come together in different circumstances, but at the same time, it's like we're moving forward and we're taking action, and that's actually one of the tips that we got going.
Yeah. A little sneak peek.
A little sneak peek, but no, I come from a corporate background and then also entrepreneur background. So I went from corporate to entrepreneurship. How we met is through real estate. We've started this journey in real estate, and as a real estate investor slash wholesaler, it's been a great journey, and I love that. We kind of started from this space, and your background is in the corporate as well too. So it's definitely a situation where we learned a lot from that, and then we've grown. I've had a couple businesses, and had to start all over again, and real estate has allowed me to do that in this part of my career, and where I'm at, and it's just been an amazing journey for me, especially just kind of this going forward with a new journey in entrepreneurship and new partnerships, new relationships, and it's been an amazing journey. So I'm just happy to share my knowledge of being in corporate America, being an entrepreneur, and then um, gems about real estate too here and there, and it's a opportunity to share our experiences, and I'm just happy to do it on this platform.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, it's definitely a pleasure. I know you're doing big things right now in real estate, and yeah, that is what kind of brought us together. Which we'll dig a little bit deeper in as far as our tips, but this kind of just happened. I've always wanted to create a podcast, but I was too scared to do it on my own. Like I knew I could do it, but there's something about partnering up with somebody who you just like connect with, and I knew you'd be the right person. So it's I kind of put it on your plate, like, hey, let's start a podcast, like literally 2 weeks ago. And you're like down with it. You sent me all the information like within a day, and we just got it kicking. So super blessed to definitely partner with you on this and whatever other ventures that come our way in the future. But yeah, I guess I do have a corporate background. It's more a startup,
Got
which
it.
is like shit's all over the place. You're developing systems as you go. But at my previous experience has also been in nonprofits, where it's not necessarily corporate, but the structure is a little bit corporate-y, where you have like systems already set in place. You have a hierarchy already. You have your dedicated role. So, it definitely did have that corporate background or understanding. But I currently work at a startup. I still have my 9 to 5 because I love it. I'm making a difference. Um, our product is, we help serve small nonprofits and making it really easy for nonprofits to fundraise. So we're helping communities and, just making a big print on life. So that has really helped me in really building my business. And, I'll definitely talk about that a lot throughout this podcast. Is like how you can leverage that experience and everything into your business. But definitely long term is for sure real estate investing. I want to own several hundred units, and think of like the long-term vision of retiring at a very early age. I think definitely corporate America builds you up to retire at 65, and how much time do you have left to enjoy it really? I want to enjoy it while I'm young, and I can run around and do everything else. So this podcast will really be talking about life. It won't just be necessarily real estate. We'll just talk about things that we've learned. We'll talk about relationships, education, whatever the case may be. And if there's anything specific that you guys want to talk about, we'll definitely go into that. But yeah, maybe we can dig into the podcast a little bit more and like what we'll talk about today.
Yeah, definitely. It's I love that you come from that background, and we've talked many times about you working there, and with this startup too, it's a different animal when you're in the startup, so
Absolutely.
um,
Oh yeah, putting out fires constantly.
always, always. So and it's up and down too, but it's definitely a situation where I know you bring a lot to the table on your real estate side from that too, just because of processes and dealing with different projects as well and managing
Mhm.
those, and I think that's just broadened your experience too, because everybody,
Absolutely.
right? When they get into real estate, and then they bring their own experience, and then they learn, what they're good at and what they're not good at, and then kind of go from there. And I think that's relevant to any business that you start or any money that you're making in
Right.
doing, right? So yeah,
Absolutely. So kind of digging into that, kind of what we'll talk about today. So we're going to share 3 tips. I think it's perfect start to this episode, which is like getting started, right? A lot of times we don't even know what to begin with, where to even like start. So we're going to share 3 tips that worked for us. Now there's plenty of tips we can probably go on and on and on, but we want to kind of start with 3. We'll elaborate on them a little bit, and then definitely ask your questions. We'll leave some room for Q&A towards the end. So if you have any specific questions or anything that you want to add, by any means, feel free to shoot out. We got you, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. So getting started into real estate, Tim.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I think that just said so itself, like getting started.
yeah.
There's so many people I know where it's like they talk about it and they talk about it and no action's done. So what's our first tip on just getting started?
Well, I think the main thing is this, I think we had talked about this too, is the support system, right? Finding a
Right.
support. So, in getting started, that with any venture that you're in, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur, right, and you're getting into a field that you know or you just learned about, and um, usually as an entrepreneur, you don't have a support system. You kind of just
Right.
do it by yourself, right? And I know that me and you come from a sports background, and so
Yeah.
when you're a part of a team, your teammates are your kind of support system. You gravitate to a couple people around the team more than others, but at the same time, it's a situation with your team. They lift you up, right?
Absolutely.
When you're getting into real estate, I think it's really important to have that. You know, have that support system in place, because it's a lot of ups and downs as an entrepreneur, right? And you definitely have to um, be you kind of you know there's times where you're not getting the results you're having, and you think you're questioning yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like your ability to do it, or am I doing something wrong? Am I calling the wrong list or whatever?
Yeah.
But it. I think when you talk to someone like yourself or other people around you that are in the same industry, you kind of bounce your experiences off each other, and kind of lift each other up. And we have an amazing support system in the group that we're in, right? And shout out
Right.
to Jefferson, um,
Yeah.
and ChargedUp University.
Shout out to the U.
Yeah, shout out to the U.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, but no, I, I really think the support system is like one of the key things really to have, because it helps you go further, and doesn't allow you to kind of give up, right?
Yeah.
And I think support one of the number one things, one of the number one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, sports for me, I lived and breathed sports. I was a little sheltered growing up. Didn't go out much in high school. The Latina background, really strict parents. So literally it was just school and basketball for me. And like my support system was my basketball team.
Right.
And having um, that camaraderie, like hey, we're building something special, whether it was like it was just high school and like college, but it's all about like people that have your back. And it goes anywhere, it goes cross sports, of course. It goes family. A lot of times we don't have that support from our family, unfortunately, because maybe they just don't understand our vision. So finding a group, whether it's the you, whether it's like somebody, like lean on somebody that is on the same wavelength as you, that wants to the best out of themselves. Like find that person and latch on to them and be like, hey, like you hold me accountable, I hold you accountable, whether by any means possible. And I think we've really found that it's really worked for us, within the U. And even within, deeper than that, is like having a regional group, shout out West Coast, um, and having that like camaraderie where it's like we all want the best for each other. We all want, to be millionaires. We all want to retire at a very young age, and to have that support. It's like I don't feel alone, because I
Yeah.
feel a lot of times people are scared to take that step because they're scared to be alone, and you're not alone. You have somebody. You just have to find that support system.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like you may start off alone, but you may come across people, and it's putting yourself out there too. I think that's also another thing. By putting yourself out there, you're able to find like-minded people that can kind of take you to the next level.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And then I guess getting back to the another tip is getting back to the take action part, right? So
Right.
having that support system, for you to actually get involved in whatever you're starting. Like, it could be anything. It could be real estate. It could be,
Right.
you doing a, e-commerce site with Shopify or whatever the case may be, or, it's taking the action. And then one step further from that is consistency. Right? So, and taking action is the first step, but being consistent is a whole nother level, right? And I think we've talked about this many times on the level of consistency, right?
Right.
Do work differently, and with that, like their time is also, some people are full time at what they do. Some people have a side hustle, and
Yeah.
their level of consistency is going to be different as well too. So
Right.
just for them getting started is a huge step, because they've already beat people that are still, doing their,
Overthinking it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
excuses, so you're already ahead of maybe 50% of people that are already thinking about getting into that field, right?
Right.
Already took action. You started to do the things that actually are going to bring you money and get you the bag. So it
Yeah, that's right.
definitely a situation where taking action is a huge step, right? And then being consistent, and then you know part of that consistency is going to be that support system that we just.
That's what's going to keep you going, right? Because I think wasn't there a crazy stat, something like within 5 years, people like a huge, like large percent of people like stop their business or quit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So
I
it's
can't
like,
remember what that stat was, but it was insane.
yeah, I think after I think I think it's huge. It's a huge, like 90% of businesses fail, like
Right.
after 2 years or something like that, and then
Yeah.
out of that, another I want to say 50% don't make it to 5 years or something like that. So
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah,
it's
and I think because they don't have like, I think it's important to have that foundation and figure that out, like having a support system, taking action, building consistency, because
yeah,
those are that's the groundwork that's gonna that's gonna give you longevity in your business. From what I've seen, what I've kind of, Chris Jefferson's kind of dealt with that, going broke,
yeah,
bankrupt, and then like rebuilding his business. It's building that foundation,
right,
having the right people in place, the right support system that's going to take you to the next level, that's going to push you. If you have a group of people that aren't pushing you, they're up to no good, don't really have that motivation in life, you're only as good as the people you're with. We hear that constantly. So it's important to surround yourself with those people that are just positive, that want to see you, that are like keep it real with you. You
yeah,
don't want those people that just are yes people. Want people to be keep it real and be honest, and consistency. If things aren't always going to go great, and you got to just push away the noise, because it's easy to compare ourselves to maybe other people who have it going on, maybe a little bit different. Everyone's situation is different, and that was really hard for me to grasp, where I'm looking, I'm like, hey, this person's doing this, how come I'm not doing that? We're kind of the similar situation, but we're really not. Your time will come. It's just, just got to keep pushing.
yeah. Let's dive a little bit deeper on um, just the people that you surround yourself with, right? Like,
Yeah.
because that's a big thing in regards to getting to the level that you want to get to, right? And
Right.
the same friends that you hang out and go to dinner, or drink with, whatever the case may be, in the past, aren't going to be the same people that are going to get you to that level that you're really, you
Right.
started to take action, and you have a support system. And so um, some of those people that were closest to you fall off, right?
Right.
Bad thing. It's And you can't, I don't think you should dwell on that. I think you should be happy that you're starting something new, and you're building something towards uh, your goal and what you want to achieve in your life. So,
Right. And I think people gravitate towards the past
right.
too. Like, oh,
Yeah,
we used to be this or that. And that's all fine and dandy, but that's in the past. You know, you'll always have that to like reflect on. But it's like, what about the future? What about the present moment? Like, what are they doing to add value to you? That's kind of how I've learn to see people is like, okay, how can I provide value to this person, and vice versa, what value are they adding to me? if
right.
if they're not really adding value to me, like what am I doing here? What are they good for? I mean, seems a little mean, but it's like, let me keeping it real. Like, what good are people if they're not, looking out for us, and want the best in us? And you kind of sense that, at least you should. Maybe we don't when we're in our 20s or when we're younger, but I think that's a really important thing to keep it real with, where it's like, don't straggle along if they're holding you back, and you're complaining about stuff. Like, look at the people around you. What are people doing to lift you up? And a lot of times it's the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah, I think that's huge because, it's not. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a huge. It's a good thing. I mean, totally, because I don't know. You're building something that is totally the goal that you want to do, and you're surrounding yourself with the people that you are going to make things happen for you, and
Yeah.
you know, that falls into I think our next tip, right?
Right.
Yeah, so our next tip is networking. So that's a huge thing.
That's huge.
I know a lot of people maybe don't know how to network, or don't know how to utilize it within their business. And networking is just, like they say, your network is your net worth, right?
Yeah. And I think you have a perfect example, because you're in a situation you're in now because you put yourself out there, and networked with people, added value, and in return, you caught the attention of someone, and now you're in a position where, you're partnered with someone like a family office, and working on development deals. Like, how the hell would you have like thought that would have been the case like at this point last year?
I was fun. It was funny because yesterday, we kind of talked too, and then we had our West Coast meeting as well. And I spent all day yesterday going through all of my like deals and the processes of, when they got into escrow, well, signing contract and then closing, right?
Yeah.
And then today is the 1 year anniversary of my first deal signing.
Hey.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
was huge. That's
That's awesome, man. Congrats. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I looked at that. I was like, "Holy crap, tomorrow is the anniversary," and then having this podcast launch and stuff. It's just surreal to me a little bit.
Yeah.
But to dive back into the side is that, yeah, I would have never thought, a year ago that I would be where I'm at today, and then have the relationships that I have, built within, the real estate world. And a lot of part of it is from me learning from my other ventures that didn't fail, and that's
Right.
Chris and stuff. And, but at the same time, it's a situation where, I had a business in Colorado, right? And it was a
Mhm.
marketing business. And they do things a little bit different there, just because um, they want to build relationships with you. They just don't want to do a business that who they don't know, right? So
Right.
I was like, how do I get in front of these people so they see me, instead of calling these people, to see if they want my services, or advertising it on the internet or email or whatever the case may be. So
Right.
I signed up for things like the chamber events, and the chamber of commerce events and networking events. And so that got me used to talking to people and talking about my business, right? And what I
Mm.
so, for instance, these networking events that I would go to, they would specialize in a certain one industry, right? And they would only accept one company from that industry to be in their group, right? So there's no competition, and they could just refer business back and forth.
Right.
So you had to speak about your business and ask people what you needed in your business, what type of clients you needed for your business. So it got me to the point where I felt comfortable talking about, my business, talking about, what I need, and that
Right.
it built the relationships uh, around that, right? And so to fast forward to now, and utilizing real estate. With utilizing real estate, what I've learned to open those doors is having a deal, right?
Right.
If you have a deal, then you have more, I guess, clout, you would say, or just skin in the game, because
Yeah.
something that they may want, that they might be interested in. And then that kind of opens the door for you to kind of talk more about what you do, your businesses, or your business, and then what the deal is. And that's how I
Yeah.
developed the relationship with the family office, right? It was a situation where I had a deal. It was an apartment complex, and then I pitched them. I found them through social media, and I had been following them for a little bit, and then I finally pulled the trigger on just sliding into the DMs and saying. Hey. So I just took a chance. I wasn't like.
That's all it is. It's just
Yeah,
taking a chance.
it is, and I just took a chance, and so I got a DM back from her, and once she said, hey, what's your number? We got on the phone. Like, it happened so quick.
Yeah.
You know, she she let me down easy because my deal was like $2 million, right? And they only
Right.
deals 50 million and above, right? So I was like, you thinking in my head, dang, wow, like, and then so slowly I got to talking to her. I didn't let that stop me. I didn't say, okay, bye, right?
Right. Right.
What are you looking for? What kind of deals do you want? What's part of your buy box? And she started to explain what she needed, and so then I got an idea of what they were looking for, and we kind of built that relationship from there. And I would just shoot her deals, and then we got to talking, and she let me know that there was a certain market that we could tap into and we could partner up with. I had no idea, like you're saying, a year ago, I would partner with a family office,
Yeah.
bigger deal.
No, because you slid in someone's DMs.
Yeah, they say not that in dating or whatever the case may be. And
You gotta take your shot. I
I,
mean, what's the worst that can happen? Say you get a no.
yeah, exactly. But aside from that, I think being in a situation where you can talk about your business, it anywhere you can.
Right.
Wasn't confident. Honestly, I wasn't confident in myself to talk about the business when I didn't do a deal, right? In real
Yeah.
estate. So, and it's a little bit different when you start your own business. Even though you haven't made a sale or anything, or you're developing a product or whatever the case may be, you're talking about your business, right? And
Mhm.
for me, I wanted to prove to myself that I could actually do this business, right? Because
Yeah.
not something that you can just go buy and then sell on the internet, and then have this business, right? It's something that you have to learn that process, execute that process, and then get it to closing, right? And then
Right.
check, right? So I think this I had to prove myself that I could do it, and
That
then
you could do it.
right? I felt like now I can talk about my company. Now I can go out there and network. Now I can do this. Even though I've done deals, there was two deals more than someone else did.
Yeah.
reality, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think people get caught up in overthinking things, right? Like before even taking action, saying like, I need a website, I need my LLC before a deal. Just do it. Just get
Yeah,
in it and figure it out as you go.
right.
I think that's one thing with even startups or anything is like you don't really know what the answer is until you get in there and test it out yourself, right? Um, for me, my networking is a little bit different. But you touched upon like going the extra mile in like even your previous business, which is like chamber of commerce, going to the chamber of commerce, putting yourself out there. A lot of people won't do that extra step. Now I know we have COVID. COVID, you can't really just go in there. Maybe you can now just with a mask, but it's like putting yourself in rooms with people that could potentially, where you can potentially add value. I think people forget, like sometimes you have to go the extra mile to, put in to put yourself out there. But that's really all it is.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, networking started even way long ago, like before I even got this job. Because as I mentioned before, my background was in nonprofits. I was working with children in like after school programs. I'd been doing that for like 9 years. It was like my first job out of college, and I loved it. It was perfect. I was still going to school. And then, I ended school and it was just a job I had, but it didn't pay very much. It was like 40,000 a year, which in Cali, I mean, that's like nothing. So
Right.
I mean, that's like you got to have roommates. It doesn't really get you very far. And I kind of had that. I knew that for myself. I was like, I can do better than this. This isn't a job for me anymore. I've kind of outgrown my ceiling. There's only so far, I can only go so far. So, I was like, I need a way out. I just didn't know like where to go. And so I quit my job within a month or two. And I was fairly like, I think I was a year into my marriage. And I was just kind of like, hey, I'm quitting my job to do something else. And I decided to do like design, UX design, which is like, tech product design where you're doing stuff like YouTube. I'm like redesigning how the page looks or something. Um, so I I quit my job, got into a boot camp, like a 10-week boot camp, graduate from that. And I had to put myself out there. I had no design experience whatsoever. But I knew I had work experience.
Right.
I knew I could add value one way. I was a hard worker. I can learn things quickly, and I can bust my ass in whatever I do. And I did that. Like I put myself out there. I wrote Medium articles. Medium was really big back then. It still is, but you can write articles. I wrote about my experience. I went to meetups. That's when like Meetup really started kicking in, and just introducing myself like, hey, like I only have like 2 months of experience in design, but like this is how I can add value to you. And somehow I landed an internship at like a high like tech company. I didn't end up like, I only did it for 3 months, but that was enough for me to be like, I can do this. And the reason why they picked me is because I had written articles about my experience, and that was enough for them to want to, bring me on as an intern.
Right.
And eventually, I got the position I'm in now. Well, I'm not in the same position, but I got with the company I'm with now,
Mhm.
who again believed in me because I put myself out there. So, like knowing that, I'm like, I know I've gone through it, I've like lived it, and so I know I can do it again. So it's the same thing with like starting a business, where it's like, I'm not quitting my job per se right now, anytime soon, but it's like I'm putting myself out there. I'm being like, hey, I don't really have much experience. I've done some deals, but hey, like this is how I can add value. And I feel like we should approach anybody we network with, like, hey, here's how I can help you out. Um, I don't even want anything returned. Like, just let me give you this value. And I think it goes back to the go giver, which is something I've also talked about before. That's like one of my favorite books that I've started to reread again, because it just talks about just adding value to people and giving back, and not necessarily thinking about what you'll get in return. Um, I think that's the biggest misconception, especially nowadays with society. It's like everybody wants to take. It's like, what about me? Me. And we don't consider the other person. But things, if you give your energy to someone, for the good, it's going to come back to you 10 times.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of learned, like, especially after reading that book, and like, if I'm going to network, I'm not even going to ask for anything in return. It's like, here's some value, because I know it's going to come back to me one way or another. And it sounds like that's something you did
Yeah.
to reach the family office. Is like, here's some value. I don't know what I'll get in return. She kindly declined, but believed in you. She saw something in you, to work together and partner up, which is insane.
Yeah. I think the value part is it's the most important part of that networking, right? Even if you go into it about all about you, right? And a lot of people, they get into their business and they tell them about their business, and they're so worried about their elevator pitch and all that.
Right.
They don't go into it thinking of what you can bring to them, right? What's some value? So that's why I kind of like the networking group, because they instill, like, what do you need from us, right?
Hmm.
What are you looking for us, right?
Right.
So I think the value, providing value for people, excuse me, providing value for people is the most important about networking, right? Even if you're sliding into DMs or anything like that, what value? The reason why I slide into DMs, because I did have something of value, was a deal that possibly,
Right.
right, that could benefit them, right? But it also benefits me, of course, if it closes. But at the same time, it's like, if I just slide into DMs with, like, hey, can we meet, right? How many coaches or people of influence, get these DMs and let me pick your brain, right? And let me do that.
Yeah.
What do you bring to the table? Like, what value?
Right. What are you adding value to me? Why should I even bother if it's like, if people are like asking me stuff, I'm not going to, let's just say you'll be the last thing message I read, or even if I even get to it.
Right, right. And it's definitely a situation where, like, I think people, they miss that component a little bit, right? They go out and network and say me, and me, and do, and da 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 da, but they don't, like, you know, hey G, what can I provide for you? Like,
What do you need?
what do you need? And, like, your business is a little bit different than mine. I might know somebody that may need your services, and I can shoot them your way. Or it could be nothing about business. You know,
Right.
they're looking for a photographer for their, wedding that they're having, and hey, you can use my photographer.
Right.
Right? So, and it's not anything to do with their, it's just providing some kind of value to build that relationship with. And then in the future, you could be doing business, or you couldn't, or they could refer you business, so that's the importance of.
Yeah, and I think it's also setting your ego aside,
Yeah.
especially starting out. You have to work from the ground up. You're not just going to get a red carpet drawn out. I mean, if you talk to the greatest, if you think about like real estate specifically, all these top real estate investors, they went through years. I mean, Chris, it took him 2 years to like close his first deal, and he talked about networking with reaching out to other people, like, hey, how can I help you out? Like, what can I do for you? And so letting your ego aside, like, okay, forget that. I'm just starting out in real estate. What can I do to you? Can I bird dog for you? What markets are you in? I have this person, or I have this house that I ran that looks all distressed.
Hmm.
Can you help me out with that? Like, that's taking more action instead of just saying like, hey, give me the answer to this.
Right.
Because it's just you have to set your ego aside for that. It's just not. I'm not gonna. I look at it a little bit different than that, because I wouldn't do that. I
Yeah.
would, see what, if I were starting off, I'd be like, hey, I have this distressed property. I don't even know where to start. Can you walk me through it and we can, split it, or, give me a bird dog fee, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's good because you're providing some kind of value there, and then the other thing too is I think what we don't do enough is that we we kind of talk to ourselves internally, but we psych ourselves out of it, whether it's to talk to people or not to talk to people, or no, I haven't done this, but I've done this. Should I not even mention that or whatever? And
Right.
a lot of people don't know that a lot of the person that's holding you back is sometimes yourself, right? And it just goes back to taking the shot, and it's not just take the shot in doing the business, it's taking the shot on growing the business too, right?
Mm,
So I think
yes.
a lot of people miss that too, and I think that's an important part, because when you start taking those shots within your network, because you never know where your next deal is going to come from in real estate,
Right.
right?
That's
So
true.
you're going through the steps that you've learned to close on real estate and lock up deals. But as you build networks, and as you talk to contractors, as you talk to agents, or you're talking to escrow companies or title companies, you just never know where your next deal is going to come from. It might come from them, right? And so that's an important aspect too.
Yeah, you never know who you're gonna speak with, and that's why I always say just to be kind too,
Yeah.
because reputation is everything too, and we're throwing gems here and there. I don't think we're just giving 3 tips. I think we've already given like maybe 20 tips at this point,
Right.
little hidden gems there. But your reputation is everything, whether it's real estate or your business. If you're known to be rude or shortcut deals or cut people out, like that the word spreads. I mean, real estate is pretty big network, but it's not that big.
Yeah.
um, where the word spreads now. So I always think like just be kind to people, and you just never know what people would be like. Hey, I really enjoyed our last transaction. I have this person that wants to sell. Like you just never know. So always be prepared,
Yeah.
no matter what, whether you're at the grocery store or gas station. And I think it goes back to talking about what you do, because you never know. Like I think I've heard somebody that was having a conversation at a gas station about a deal, and then somebody behind them in line was like, "Oh, you do real estate. I have somebody that's looking to sell their house, or somebody just passed and they need to sell their house." So it's just you just never know. This
Yeah.
this is a crazy thing.
Yeah. You don't. I this podcast is about getting started, or talking about your how you're going to make your bag, but it's also
Right.
right. So I want to go back to what you had said about breaking the news to your wife that you were going to quit your job, and
Okay.
into that. Like, how did that conversation go? And you know, was it one sided, or was it support? That going back to the support side.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
How how did
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Uh, yeah. Obviously I'm here. I still survived. So she always has my ultimate support, even with starting this business. But when I just kind of threw on her like, "Hey, I'm gonna quit my job in a month," it didn't really give much runway. But I knew what I needed to do, and there was just a lot going on, and added the pressure. But she took it like a champ. Um,
That's awesome.
she powered through, but it wasn't easy. There was times where I was because at the time I had we were living in like Oakland, so I commuted to San Francisco, where the boot camp was, and so I'd be there all day. And so that can kind of go into like relationships, right, and balancing your business or work. And there was times it just didn't have time for that, for the relationship. So in that aspect. it was really difficult to have her understand that where bills are piling up. We had like a small spread of money, and we were paying rent, and so I really relied on her, especially while I was at the boot camp, to
Sure.
be the provider, because we didn't have much savings
Yeah.
to begin with, because I know my job was paying $40,000 in the Bay Area in California, and so we barely made it with both of our incomes. So when you add like bills and money to the table, it adds so much
Yeah.
extra pressure, that she's like, don't ever do that to me again. After we got through, it ended up well, but it was definitely tough. And there was a lot of life events that happened that didn't help. Personal things that came up with like family, that you just made it really difficult. But that kind of gave me that motivation and be in that position where it's like, I can't be without a job. Like I can't just lay low. I don't know how people do that, feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a family to provide for. Um, it got so bad during that time. I had to move back in with my dad. We both of us did, and we were living out of a room. We weren't paying rent. God bless my dad's soul. So we were able to save up, but barely. And we were grinding. We were still working in the. My wife was still working in the Bay Area, and we lived in Sacramento. It's a 2-hour drive from Sacramento to the Bay
Great.
Area. We would commute because I was interning in San Francisco. We would get up like at 4:30 in the morning,
Hmm.
commute to the Bay Area, work, and then drive back another 2 hours. So we'd be 4 hours or more on the road. So you
Wow.
talk about grind. We were
Listen.
grinding. We wouldn't get back until 7:30, even sometimes with traffic.
Yeah.
So
Listen.
we've been through it.
Oh, traffic, no joke.
Man, I don't know about LA traffic.
Ooh.
That's I went through it,
I,
yeah, a couple months ago, and I don't know. Bay Area is pretty bad, but like LA, it's like traffic for no reason on a Sunday. I'm like, come on, man.
no, like first moved here to LA. So anyway, like let's give the audience a little bit background. I'm in LA, right?
Yes.
And Gladia is in the Bay Area, right? So it's definitely a situation where we're West Coast for life,
Yeah,
right? But
that's right.
the other thing is that we understand you know the California traffic. LA is definitely different, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
like when I first moved here from the like Midwest area, it was a situation where it was like a culture shock on traffic because
Oh yeah.
my time is like that's why I was always late here. I was really always late, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know, 30 minutes was like 30 miles in Kansas City or whatever, right? So mile a minute basically, right?
Right, right.
Here it's maybe 3 miles and it takes you an hour because traffic is so bad or something happened, something backed up.
Accident. Yeah.
Wow, that was like, I was going insane in the car. Like, serious, we're not moving for 30 minutes. Like, what is going on? And
Right.
I just had to get used to that traffic and
You just have to plan for it.
yeah, plan
I
for it.
mean, ultimately, that's what we had to do. We had to get up extra early, but that was probably the toughest part out of it was all that commute. We talk about all the time, like look at us now, because I got the job where I have now, and it's been a blessing. I mean, they've been great. They're not your typical kind of company, which is a reason why I've kind of stuck along. Is they live by their morals. We're a mission based, like missions, yeah, based company. Where we truly believe in like making a difference, and now my wife works for us. She's worked with us for the
Oh,
last 3-4 years. So it's coming full circle. And it's funny because when I started, they're like, "Yeah, we're doing this company trip to Costa Rica," and I was like, "Babe, this is your gift back for all this hard work. Like they're taking us to Costa Rica, and it's just like it's just something to just be grateful for. But like you have to go through the grind sometimes,
yeah,
and that's why it's so important to have that foundation of your support system
yeah,
had. And I wouldn't blame my wife to not like um agree with it, because I put her in a really tough position, but
yeah,
she took it like a G, and just powered through it. But sometimes it's your support system that like boggles you down. So you
yeah.
sometimes
That's
need that. need that like support where it's like, hey, this sucks, but I have your back no matter what. And now like I've kind of learned like, okay, if I ever do that, maybe let me have a little runway of savings before we do something like that. Um, so
No, that's great. I mean, like, um, I know, I think we don't have conversations like that. It was a personal decision that we had to make, and you know,
right,
family life, and it has to deal with business and or moving to the next level, and how you have that conversation, because each conversation is different, right? And and it is someone that is part of your life that that you're trying to make the right decision for the family, right? And
right,
but also the right decision for yourself, because you want to be happy in what you do, and you want to follow your passion, and you want to be
right.
successful at that. And I think for me, I struggle with that a little bit, because I've had businesses that were successful, but ultimately didn't work out, right? So for me, I think that's in the back of my head, but I think having that support system, and have relying on a mentor like Chris that has done it twice, and continuing to push me and the people in that group and that support system, I think helps me dampen that voice in the back that,
Mm,
with regards to, failing or whatever the case may be. So, but that's what, like you're saying, that support system is crucial. I mean, within that, I mean, we've given you some more than three tips, really. We've
I
given you,
know, that's what I'm saying. I think we're up to 30 or maybe more.
but this is what it's all about, right? Giving value to people, sharing our story, just talking about what it takes, really, and how we can help you, or if this video or live allows you to get to the next level, or even start, and take your shot, then you know we've done what we're supposed to do on these podcasts. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all we're giving back one way or another,
yeah,
and just sharing what we've learned and how it can apply to anybody and to get the bag. Because it's especially nowadays, I feel like there's so many opportunities that maybe we didn't have or it wasn't as out there maybe 10 years ago. That it's I'm so grateful to have now. And I mean, we can even talk about like what got us into real estate or
right,
what got us to get started into real estate was like we wanted to get the bag. We wanted to, um, because we knew the potential that with money. But it's always more than money, right? But it starts with money. You can't do anything if you don't have money to begin with. And there's, I'm just a person that's never satisfied. I have to like, and the other thing that's something that's not for everybody. But I know what I want. I know my vision. I see it clearly, and I
yeah,
know what it's gonna have to take. What it'll take to get there. But one thing is like I'll never be satisfied with anything. And my wife gets on me all the time, like, can you just sit your ass down, like, and relax? It's like you'll never be like once I accomplish something, I'm like, all right, what's the next thing?
yeah,
Can I accomplish? And it's just that's just built in me, I guess. I'm just never comfortable. Maybe, maybe 10, 20 years down the line, I've accomplished a lot. I still won't take my foot off the gas, but I may take it easy then. But it's just I think that's just
that,
it's something special to have.
yeah. I think you always have that drive, and I think that's, I don't know. It could be an athlete's mentality. I kind of roll that into like some of my entrepreneur, lifestyle, is that I'm always competitive, but also what's pushing me forward is, that voice in my head that I can do it, or I can
Yeah.
move to the next level, or I can, so, I know that when I was going, I played football. So when it was a situation where we had to do, we're on our 3-a-days and we're still doing conditioning, and, we're running to end practice. And, basically if you stop running, you had to start all over. Right.
Oh yeah.
And so, in my head, I was like, Tim, you can do it. You can do it. You can, I mean, I'm dead tired. We had 3 practices.
Oh
I
man.
times, I'm mad at myself for not catching the ball or whatever the case may be. But I'm just thinking about finishing at that point, right? I'm thinking about, hey, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And then when you do it, I don't think about the losses for that day at all. I think about, I finished something, I completed something. It was successful because, I improved myself for the day, right?
You're
So,
right. And
but
it's hard to see like the instant. I mean, we're also a society built on instant gratification. So sometimes like having that consistency, you see the progress in the long run, right? So after a year, right, we can look back and be like, wow, like I've actually done a lot. We get in
yeah,
our head like at the moment, like I haven't really done much. But if you take a look back, whether in sports too, like for me, where it's like, I didn't think I did that great, but I look at the stats like, oh, actually my shooting percentage was good. I made first team,
mhm,
whatever the case may be. So I think that's where like the focus, you have to keep that focus and never let your foot off the gas. Because it's all about making improvements 1%, even if it's every day, making a small improvement every day. That's gonna, by the end of the year, you can look back like, oh wow, I actually accomplished a lot. Because I think that was a challenge for a lot of us, where we're just so hard on ourselves because we see all this instant gratification. We see everybody closing deals, making all this stuff. Instagram, you see
yeah,
all the influencers with their cars and checks and money, and it's like, well, why am I not there yet? It just doesn't work like that for everybody. Your time will come. You just have
yeah,
to just be consistent and just focus on your goals. Everybody's goals is not the same, so that's a big thing too.
yeah. Cool.
But
Yeah.
awesome. Man, like I said, I think we definitely dropped. I think I wrote down here 3 tips. That should have been like a billion tips to get started. Um, But yeah, I mean, I guess we can kind of go through any questions. I didn't see any questions in, just a bunch of love. So I appreciate everybody who's on here. The 9 people that are here supporting us, I do appreciate you guys, and all the love and support in the comments. It means a lot. We honestly didn't know what to expect. I'm like, I don't care if there's nobody on there. We're about to speak some gems to ourselves.
Exactly. I mean, it's been great. If anyone has some questions, I mean, we'll definitely answer some questions. But no, we didn't really know what to expect on this, live podcast. But at the same time, I think, you know, we had a plan and we executed that, which is great. And then just share some knowledge and, some value to people. And
Yeah.
we appreciate everybody kind of joining in and, supporting us. And even if it was like 0 people, we still do that live and put it out there.
Oh
So,
yeah, I was still rocking it. Like we have 1,000 viewers.
no,
I mean, we can say the same about taking action. Like we
yeah,
literally started this podcast in like 2 weeks.
I know.
We got together, or like less than that. I don't even know. And that was one of your goals too. I don't even know if it was one of my goals. I knew like I wanted to get brand awareness and like put myself out there. So I knew a podcast would be one of it. And so, but this was actually one of your goals too,
Yeah,
right?
totally. I mean, I think I said it last year in January that, yeah, January this year, I should say,
Yeah, yeah.
broadcast, to start one this year, and that was accomplished. And, so it's one of my goals that I achieved this year. I didn't meet a lot of my goals, but,
Yeah,
and that's a part of it, right? And that's probably another conversation about goals and reaching them, and then setting new,
absolutely.
be intentional about those goals. So, but at the same time, it's definitely a situation where, I did have that on my list, and I'm just happy that I'm able um, provide this opportunity and then do that opportunity with you. And I'm telling you, Gladia is special, man. She's definitely
Oh, here we go.
she's a rock star for sure, and I'm just happy that we've built this relationship, and we can rely on each other on the business side, but also just talk through some personal stuff too.
Yeah.
As we go through this journey, because me and you have some similar lifestyles and what we're going through with our spouses, and how that affects the business and just
Hmm.
life in general. So
Absolutely. Well, like I said, it's a pleasure to share the stage with you. We're just showing each other love. We're writing love letters to each other right now. Yeah, it's definitely been a blessing, like getting to know you. We've already seen each other a few times now, and there's many more to come.
yeah,
But it's yeah, it's something special. I talk about you all the time. My wife's like, Tim this, Tim that. Where it's like, again, when you find that support system,
yeah,
just somebody that ultimately, like cares and wants to see the best out of you, like you want to keep them around, right? Like,
sure,
you and like people in our West Coast crew, and in the like, you don't want to lose sight of people that, I think we all are, have a really special group of people that just want better for themselves, financial freedom, because people like us, we're not supposed to make it. Let's just be real, like growing up. So to put ourselves out here and to show people like that look like us, that are in our similar situations, that it is possible. And hey, we don't have to have it all figured out. I still don't have it figured out. I'm
yeah,
still figuring it out right now.
uh,
But that's okay, as long as we keep pushing, and being persistent. Like, I mean, that's all you can do.
yeah, yeah, totally. Um, I know I don't have it all. I think we're in the right direction, and we lean on each other, and we lean on our support system, and so we just we plug forward and move on and get to that next level. And I'm just happy to be doing it with you. So
Likewise.
awesome.
Awesome. Well, if
Cool.
there's yeah, we've been live for an hour. It's
No,
been
right?
awesome first episode. There's, like I said, there'll be plenty more every Wednesday. For now, every Wednesday mornings, 8 a.m. PST, I guess 11 a.m. EST.
Hmm.
We'll be dropping some gems, different topics. Not sure what we'll talk about next week, but stay tuned. We'll have some juicy for you guys for sure. Um, and we'll probably, yeah, create an Instagram, get the bag, do all those things. But we just wanted to get started. So again, appreciate you guys hopping on, and yeah, let's get this bag.
Yeah, let's get this bag. And this was super raw today, but hey,
Super.
we're growing. So um,
Right.
get a day about it, day at a time, and we're gonna continue to pump out this content. Like G said, every Wednesday, we'll probably do some more things in regards to some promotions, but also, we appreciate everybody that joined us today.
Absolutely. Well, have a great day, everyone.
Yep.
Let's get this bag. Let's get this money, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. Peace.